to not. I am Count Mozart, your vampire host extraordinaire, and the only immortal host in the world. Introducing the bold, the beautiful, the beguiling and the bewitching Bella.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
Ciao, Bella.
Tonight, Bella, I'm gonna do something that most vampires do not do. I'm going to bark at the moon.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy Osbourne, the beast from Birmingham, the Blizzard of Oz, John Michael Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne. There's only one Ozzy. Well, he did, and but we have his music, and we're gonna celebrate him tonight. And it's very important that we do, because I love this Ozzy Osbourne. You know what I mean? I know it wasn't your style of music. It's okay, everybody's got their own taste.
He was big.
He was big, and there was a reason. He was with the band Black Sabbath. He started with Black Sabbath. And they were just phenomenal. That type of music started a whole new genre. And you know what? I love the name. They got it from one of my favorite movies with Boris Karloff, Black Sabbath.
Oh, sorry.
Do you believe in ghosts?
This is the night when fear and horror walk hand in hand.
This is Black Sabbath.
Starring the incomparable Boris Karloff.
Oh, so they got it from a movie.
They got it from a movie. They had a different name. It was like Earth or something like this, and they were rehearsing. They saw, there's a movie theater. It was playing Black Sabbath. It was like 62, 63, probably like 63. One of my favorite movies. You should check that. Everybody, I recommend Black Sabbath, the movie, with Boris Karloff. I mean, you can't lose. They picked a great name. And, with the name came the connotation of the occult and horror. And so that was, they started off with that vibe.
Right. They marketed like that.
Yeah, heavy and, kind of dark and stuff like this. But they had great songs, wonderful, Paranoid, Iron Man, and Changes, and on and on and on. They had some big hits. So I don't know if they were hits, but, to the fans, they were hits. But they were huge songs. I think more in like, England, I think they really hit the charts there. And maybe not so much in the United States, but they were big nevertheless. They sold these millions of albums. They were huge. And Ozzy was such a great frontman, Now, even though, you got the Geezer Butler, and you got the Tony Iommi, of course, and you got Bill Ward. This is the great band. But, those other guys, they weren't lighting the world on fire with the way they looked. They had beards and mustaches and that kind of thing. Ozzy, he got a look.
Ozzy had some look.
He had a look, He always did. And he had a voice. Hello.
Right, of course.
Look at me. Just for Ozzy, baby. Look at that. Just for, I miss this Ozzy already. You know what I mean? That voice, he has a voice of no other. And he was such a character, too. Wild one.
Yeah,
but a character.
Unique wild.
But, once this Black Sabbath took off, of course, success leads to excess, right? So, and Ozzy had that in him anyway. He was just, he was prone to addiction. He loved it, but he's a fun-loving guy, but he would just, he really went full throttle, you know what I mean?
Right.
But all of them were in that band, and, they were hitting the heights of success. But you know what? Here come the late 70s, right? And they were partying hard. It was really those first maybe 3 albums of Black Sabbath that were really hot. After that, maybe not so much. No, you know what I mean? They weren't as big as those first ones. It's just, that's a fact.
That happens.
And then what else happens? Well, they're getting tired. This, when you're doing all that substance, all of it, it takes a toll.
Not good.
No. And then you got these up and coming people that are playing with them, like a Van Halen or something like that. And even Ozzy admitted it. Imagine this. A band.
So they got big competition.
You got it. Imagine a Van Halen jumping on stage with these guys, Black Sabbath. They blew him off the stage.
Right.
Blew him off the stage. And they knew it. Ozzy knew it. And, the writing was on the wall. And they fired Ozzy. What a move.
No way.
Yeah, the guy with the magic voice and the guy with the persona. Right. Hey, let's fire him. Real smart.
Unbelievable.
Real smart guys. Anyway, But anyway, but here's the thing about that. This guy, Don Arden, was the manager. And he had also managed like Jerry Lee Lewis or something, and ELO, big band, ELO. But Don Arden was not known for being such a nice guy. He was, he's one of those old school kind of heavy-handed managers, businessmen, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Wasn't really on the straight and narrow. But, he was good at what he did, And he also had a daughter. Do you know who this is?
Oh, yeah,
That was Sharon Osbourne. Well, it was Sharon Arden.
Yeah, she became the wife.
So what had happened was they kicked Ozzy out. You party too much. You party more than us. You gotta go. Make no sense. Anyway, so Ozzy was down, man. But he was still signed to, with this guy Arden. And Arden would sign him to Jet Records. But here's the thing. Sharon liked him. And she liked him.
Was he married?
He was married.
Was he divorced?
He was not divorced. Good for you, Bella. Look at you. Very good. See that? Oh, well. And he had 2 kids. I think 2. And not so good. But, Sharon kind of swooped in there. I think she saw something, obviously. And
She saw big...
She saw something. She saw a big bank account, I think, too.
Yeah.
And she loved him, of course. But, he was a great guy. He was a fun-loving guy. Like, no one would ever say anything, never heard anybody say anything wrong about him, So maybe, he was a little too hard at partying, maybe, but who cares? So, she cleaned him up because he was not doing too good. He was very depressed, but...
she was good for him, actually.
She really was good for him. But at this time, now it's about 1979, 1980, and they find an angel. Sharon, Ozzy, they find an angel. And his name was...
What's the angel?
His name was Randy Rhoads. He was more than a musician. He was a classically trained musician, guitarist. But he looked like an angel. He's like this young, beautiful young man. And he was in like Quiet Riot for a little while. But he was just this amazing, some people are just brought to this realm to do wonderful things. And this was Randy, And then there was also somebody around in that group called Bob Daisley. Now, these two would write all the songs, but they first wanted to call the band Blizzard of Oz. And it's kind of the joking around about cocaine a little bit, the Blizzard of
But that's a little too harsh.
A little too harsh, so they just called the album Blizzard of Oz, and Ozzy Osbourne's first album. So they just used his name and then they called the album that instead of the band that. And Sharon wound up taking Ozzy from her father and, to manage him.
Right.
She managed him. And the funny thing is, it's not funny, but Sharon and her dad didn't talk for 20 some odd years because of this.
So that destroyed their
plus he wasn't such a good guy either, probably not a good guy for her. Never saw the kids, till later on in life, towards the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know, this guy was, you know, he was kind of crooked. You know what I mean? And you know, crooked people, they pay. They always pay somehow, some way. But with this Randy Rhoads as his right-hand man, and Bob Daisley, really, people don't remember this guy, but he was writing all that stuff with Randy. You know, Ozzy wasn't writing it. Well, you know, Ozzy was the voice. Ozzy was, you know what he was? He was the guy who was going to deliver it. And did he deliver? And he did. Blizzard of Oz came out, the first solo album after Black Sabbath, and then it was Diary of a Madman. So these two albums solidified his place in rock stardom. I mean, you got songs like, you know, Crazy Train, Goodbye to Romance. Then you had like Believer, Over the Mountain.
Great songs.
Phenomenal songs, like no other. And then Tragedy Strikes. It's like this poor guy, you know, and this is going to be a theme throughout his life. Randy Rhoads.
What happened to him?
Tragedy. I know, they're on tour. And this stupid bus driver, who also was a pilot, some schmuck, and he takes Randy up with the she was like a kind of like a makeup and, you know, a costume kind of designer woman, and a wonderful woman, and they took her and Randy up, and they hit the side of the bus with the wing. They clipped the bus with the wing.
No way.
And flew into this house, you know, and burned to death.
A private plane buzzed the house in Leesburg, Florida, where the group was staying. On the third pass, the pilot clipped their tour bus, parked outside, and plowed into the house, killing the group's lead guitarist, Randy Rhoads, and the makeup artist, Rachel Youngblood. He also killed himself. Ozzy Osbourne was sitting in the bus at the time, but somehow survived unhurt. All the other members of the group also escaped, even though petrol from the wrecked plane started a fierce fire and gutted the house.
So he wasn't really
this terrible. Well, he wasn't a good pilot, but I think he was all messed up too. He's probably you know, taking, you know, partying and, you know, jerking around, you know, playing around, trying to buzz the bus, you know, trying to be funny. And then they paid the price, and these two wonderful people died. And so Ozzy was never the same. Never the same. I mean, this had changed. You know, Randy changed his life. Randy Rhoads. I mean, that's what I mean. In fact, supposedly Randy was gonna go back and go back to study more classical music, and, you know, he's all into theory, and, you know, he's, oh my God, you know, he's a very, you know, astute musician, and, you know. So,
Randy, on behalf of the over 500,000 readers of Guitar Player magazine in the U.S. and in 70 countries throughout the world, I'd like to present you with the 1981 Best New Talent Award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Give him a kiss, Ozzy.
I've got a lot of work to do, and makes you realize there's a lot of responsibility. And this tour, I want to really get myself together and work harder, you know, because I'm really proud and honored, and I don't want to stop here, you know.
And, you know, so maybe he wouldn't have stayed around in that kind of business, but you never know. But
I mean, he was making the money.
He was making the money, you know, but you know, some people are just meant to be for a limited amount of time, to do wonderful things, like an angel. You know, they come down, we do our thing, and they spread their little magic and split. And that was Randy. But Ozzy it never recovered. The music was never the same. You know, after that, like I referred to in the opening, you know, Bark at the Moon was a good 80s album, but it ain't no Blizzard of Oz, and it ain't no Diver Madman. You know, this ain't Randy Rhoads. You know what I mean? So it's never gonna be the same. Ozzy's phenomenal. You know, he's got a voice like no other. There is no other voice like that.
And he already had a name, you know,
and he already
in
had
the industry.
Yeah, and a huge fan base. So, you know, everybody's going to follow him no matter what. And these were great songs, too. Don't get me wrong. He had really good songs. Bark at the Moon, Shot in the Dark, you know, all these songs. And then later, No More Tears, and Mama, I'm Coming Home. You know, he had big hits, you know. Don't get me wrong. They just weren't the same. Everybody knows that. But, of course, you know, that... you have to go on. Yeah. And he did. And he was successful. And then, you know, Sharon created the Ozfest, his wife. Oh, so they got married. Sharon did. You know, she hooked him good.
And they had 3 kids.
And they had those wonderful kids.
3, right?
That's right. Jack and what are the other ones? I don't remember. Doesn't really matter. You know, but think about that. You don't even. But they did a show.
They did a show. And what do you think about that show?
Biggest mistake he ever made in his life. It was a joke.
It was kind of, you know, everything like
No,
reality show is kind of entertaining.
Reality. It's as much as reality as Count Mozart. If you know what I mean. See, I can poke. You know what? I can poke fun of myself. That show was the worst thing, and he'll admit it. That wasn't for him.
You know what it was like? All these reality shows was the in thing.
Well,
you know?
that one really started it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one really
I
kind
think
of took that
one of
off.
those.
But that daughter, the one daughter, I think her name was maybe Amy or something like that. I think it was Amy, you know.
They all did
and
one.
she was the smartest one.
Yeah,
She's like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, she didn't want to join the show.
You know what? What a smart woman. A smart girl. She was like, man, I'm not and he didn't need it. What a dumb thing to do. And it made him, in a way, they kind of poke fun at him, you know, and he was he admitted it, you know, and he was like, you know, and he was all proud of, like, I think, like, George Bush, you know, calling him out at something, and pronouncing his name wrong, you know, Osbourne, you know, and he...
Thanks for the invitation. What a fantastic audience we had tonight. Washington power brokers, celebrities, Hollywood stars, Ozzy Osbourne. Okay, Ozzy. Might have been a mistake.
You know, and he was all proud of this, but you shouldn't be proud of people like that calling your name, you know. I mean, he's Ozzy Osbourne, you know. He makes this guy look like a nobody, but it's the president, you know. And so coming from Ozzy's background, that's like a big deal to him.
So that show was like a mistake, right?
Well,
in a
it's
way.
a mistake if you're looking at as your integrity, but if you're looking at it as your bank account, it was a home run.
You already had so much money already.
You would think, but you know, TV is a big deal, especially back then. It's not a big deal anymore. There's like TV doesn't really exist anymore. You know, maybe if he streamed it somewhere. But that was Ozzy, and you know, he was just unbelievable. You know, and everybody will talk about his addictions and all, and it's true. You know, I'm surprised he didn't have more health problems than he did because of what he did, folks. That's, you know, it is a cautionary tale. Look at the talent of Ozzy Osbourne, and you know, it could have been an easier life if you didn't harm yourself so much. But you can't stop somebody from doing that.
It's very hard.
It's very hard. So you know, he is gone now, but you know, it's very funny because Bela. Once in a while, you know, Count Mozart still likes those CD things. I like records, I like CDs, I like tape cassettes, I like 8-track cassettes, but I pulled one out the other day. A CD, of all things.
And what was that? Ozzy?
Blizzard of Oz. You can't make this stuff up. I pulled it out. I haven't listened to it in a long time. And I'm like, man, and then I listened to it. I was like, wow. You know, I don't know, you know, there's a song. And it was just so great to hear it. And then I'm doing the Bites episode, and as I'm doing the Bites episode, I get the news about Ozzy. And you know, if you remember, Michael Pila in our episode worked with Ozzy. And he brought it up in the video. You know, he brought it up to me. He goes, you know, I wanted to talk about Ozzy with you. And we didn't. And to have you...
But Count, let me stop you.
Please.
We haven't talked about some of your favorite artists, and I would appreciate, you know, an opportunity to talk about Ozzy Osbourne, who I really enjoy working with.
You know, hey, listen, anybody biting
Ozzy,
off heads
Ozzy,
of bats
Ozzy.
is a good with me. You know what I mean?
I know.
Oh, I
So,
forgot Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy,
Of course, you know.
I
Hello.
know, and
Do you remember that? He said, you know, I worked with Ozzy.
mentioned
Yeah,
it.
he did. He worked with him. And he knows, I really loved Ozzy. He's a very special person to me, personally, to Count Mozart. And I love him, and I'm going to miss him a lot, So I wanted to do this.
And a lot of people are going to miss him,
come on,
a lot of fans.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to, it's so funny because if you listen to the Black Sabbath, it really does, because of course you can hear the time of it, it doesn't sound, first of all, it doesn't sound dated, and it doesn't sound modern. It's just weird. It just takes you to a different place. It really does. And if you listen to, again, what I'm talking about, his stuff with Randy, it does the same thing, but in a different way. And then everything else is kind of, it's not the same. Right. There was another one, The Dreamer. I love that song, The Dreamer, because it's him, man. He has a lot of, there's something to that voice, right, where not just the sound of the voice, but the emotion of it. He did that song with Lita Ford, again, great hit. But it's Ozzy.
Yeah, I think he put that feeling.
It's feeling, it's some kind of feeling. Even, that's a very poppy kind of song, and it's not, it's not no Crazy Train or something like that, but that's okay. That's what music's all about. You gotta swim, with what you got. But he never recovered from Randy, and that's why, and if you see at the end of the Bites episode, I put those two together, because now they're together. Now they're going to make beautiful music in heaven, and that's what we need. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just wanted to really say to all the Ozzy Osbourne fans out there, music fans in general, just when you lose somebody like this who, forget about that Prince of Darkness crap too, all that, that connotation of evil and stuff, he was not, that was a little bit of shtick, that was it was popular back then too, right?
Yeah, it was just a way to attract.
Yeah, it's showbiz. Showbiz, exactly. And it sells. And that's so they lean towards that. Just remember this: it's the quiet ones you got to be careful for. It's the quiet ones you got to be. Those are the ones you better, run.
Those are the dangerous.
That's right. Guys like Ozzy Osbourne's like he's like a pussycat. I mean, maybe when he's loaded, he might want to strangle you, right, Sharon? But
I think there was a thing that happened to.
That's
Sharon.
what happened to her. Yeah, I mean, he was loaded though, and he was trying to strangle her.
But she
maybe,
really
you know what?
Him,
maybe it was that voice of hers. I don't know. Maybe he couldn't take it. I don't know. Just saying.
A moment of desperation.
A moment of desperation. He was trying to get. Oh my God! Like Keebler Elf or something. Anyway, listen. We love that Ozzy Osbourne. See that we can bring some humor to sadness, right?
Of course.
And ladies and gentlemen, just remember, life is short, so make the most out of it. Do what you can, and then leave something behind. Think about that. Leave something behind, of yourself, that will inspire others. And that's exactly what he did, because, man, you just go listen to that music. And I'm going to listen to a lot of it this week. Even the stuff that I just mentioned that isn't, I mean, I love the Randy Rhoads stuff, but I will listen to the other things too. And we just love Ozzy Osbourne. And I'm very happy that we talked about him.
Yeah,
I'm going to miss him. I'll miss him a lot. What a great guy. What a character. A super guy.
Yeah.
And a hard worker,
very
too.
Unique.
But you ever have a party and you maybe partied a little too much? You had to get up to go to work and all this kind of stuff. Think about what he did all the time with what he did. And he was able to, and he kept going. And he got it from his dad. His dad was, he was just a working class man, and he never missed a day, and he just kept going to the factory. It's kind of instilled in him. Anyway, Ozzy Osbourne. We miss him, and we love him. We love that man. Anyway, what can I tell you? Goodbye the romance. Goodbye the friends. We love you all. We shall return.
We promise.
We promise. Go listen to that, Ozzy. And we will see you next time on the Count Mozart Show. Goodbye, everybody.
Ever because I may never see you again, that you are my favorite musician in the world.
Give me a hug. I have the greatest respect for the true fans. We get people who want to see you sign a pile of albums and they'll sell on eBay, but they're not fans. But the real fans, you can't. I mean, to look at you would think they're yobs, whatever. But they're great people. It's like they've been there forever for me. And now it's got fathers, sons, and sons' kids, you know.
What would you say to those fans that have stuck with you through the highs and the lows?
The bottom of the line is, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be sitting in this house now. I wouldn't be talking to you.